So I want to start debunking 3 myths that you hear a lot in the toy industry, and we hear a lot from people. First of all, that traditional toys are dead. Second, that play is moving exclusively to screens, and I know I'm probably preaching to the choir after everything I've been hearing this morning. And finally, because of retail restrictions, there are no opportunities for small toy companies, and none of those are true. For example, traditional toys. I mean, play, as we've been talking about, hasn't changed. You look at things like Lego, having some of their best years ever. You look at Crayola with a lot of innovation. The crayon goes back to, the colored crayon goes back to 1903. Transformers, of course, classic play. Monster High, which is classic play, and of course a new one from Spin Master called Paw Patrol, which is really, if you don't know that, you really should. It's one of the better TV shows for kids. I believe it's on Nickelodeon, and Spin Master does the toys. The second one, do that. Okay, is that toys are coming from screens now. They're not just staying on screens. You look at, we were talking earlier about Minecraft and the Jazzware stuff and how people are doing all of this and bringing it to life for kids in dimensional ways for the social play as well as the screen play. You've got Halo, which of course is not necessarily traditional children's, but it comes from the screen. There's a huge collector market out there. You've got telepods, Angry Birds came off the screen, and I know that we were hearing a little bit about that earlier, but again, it adds play to this screen thing. Mario, of course, one of my favorites, and finally sort of the archetypal one, Pokemon. All of these guys are really coming from the screens, and we're seeing the synthesis of on-screen, off-screen play. Okay. Welcome to the toy biz. There are a lot of small companies out there who are making inroads into the toy biz. Wonderforge, if you don't know them, they make amazing games, some of the best game mechanics out there. Cartwheel Kids is finding out how to do leverage licensing with some really creative stuff. Crazy Art, you probably all know Larry Rosen, but he's done some really cool stuff. We've got Skyrocket Toys, some old Jax guys who are doing great stuff with electronics and drones. We've got Just Play, another one out of Florida. Their Doc McStuffin stuff has just been blowing out of stores. Blue Orange Games, terrific games for kids. Wicked Cool Toys, another Jax group doing all kinds of really cool stuff. Crashlings. Jazzware, who I mentioned about Minecraft. Ruminate, if you don't know this product, the people were talking about three-dimensional stuff, you really should find out about it because it's really cool. It's very about building dollhouses, but great engineering stuff as well. It's the product out there that we're very excited about that's done this well. Hexbug, Innovation First out of Dallas, and finally Zing. All of these companies are relatively new to the toy company, that they have a toy business, they have a lot of experienced people. They're all making inroads into business, and they're fighting for that inch of shelf space that they are taking away from some of the big guys sometimes. Let's see. Okay, one thing's for sure, no matter what it is, product still rules. No matter what we talk about, it's still the product, but of course, you don't need me to tell you that, and I need this button to work. There you go. You don't need me to tell you that. Product is still the big thing. So the question is, where are the kids right now? You're in a competitive battle for kids' discretionary time, and it's not just with toys. It's with sports, technology, TV, social media. Where are these kids spending their time? The challenge is finding them, these missing kids we were talking about. So one of the things that I think is really important is why this doesn't work, but that's another story. Okay. Families are migrating away from basic cable and broadcast TV. You probably all know this. The rise of Hulu, Netflix, HBO Go, Amazon Prime, and so forth have changed the playing field of how kids are consuming media. Right now, these are the ways that kids are doing it. These kids know how to make this stuff work. Today's kids, when I talk to them, they are absolutely amazed when I say, I could only see shows on Saturday. And they have no concept of that. They go, "Wah! You know, how could you have to wait for Saturday to see Scooby-Doo?" Appointment TV is now a thing of the past. You know, appointment TV is more about when are we going to watch TV, not what are we going to watch from what we've saved. And finally, kids are watching YouTube more than cable, which is really an important thing to know because YouTube is really huge for that. All of that, the YouTube growth has given rise to the multi-channel network, Maker Studios that we have a deal with, Awesomeness / Big Frame, they were just combined, and Full Screen. All of these are where kids are going It's amazing. We've been in this huge learning curve about what makes kids click on videos, from the thumbnails to the content to the personalities. It's just it's a wild west out there. It really is, in terms of how do you attract kids to YouTube. But you got to be there because it's really important. 51% of all media is now consumed on tablets and smartphones, and we have that from Atlantic General. And that's huge. That means that kids are not, you've got the 52-inch TV screen in the television. The child is just as happy to watch it on the Samsung Galaxy or the iPhone. It's all about portability and watching it when they want to, and that's true even with multiple TVs in the house. Dual screen media consumption, this is becoming really huge, not just for parents, not just for voting on Project Runway while you're watching it in real time, but it's also about kids doing two things at once. So they're watching Paw Patrol and they're playing a Paw Patrol game. They are really engaged on two different platforms at once. So social media, this is really something we talk a lot about. It's here to stay, but dynamic, and depending on who you're trying to reach, Facebook is still good. For us at TTPM, it's great for moms and older people, but kids are leaving it in droves. If you talk to 13, 14-year-old kids, Facebook is not what they're on. And Facebook fans, really, if you're trying to do metrics, are not that meaningful. They can be bought. You can easily buy them. They can be brought to the page with promotion, or a click is easy and it doesn't cost anything or have any bankable value. You don't know if you have a relationship with someone if they click on something. If Susie asks Bobby to click on something, he's going to do it. That doesn't mean he's going to be engaged. So when you tell me you've got 87 million likes on Facebook, I go, okay, that's a lot of likes. What does that mean? Not necessarily sure we know. So these are the questions we always ask. Are your fans engaged? Are they active and returning? Are they coming back to have a relationship with you? Do you know who they are? Do you do the demographic analysis? Do you know where these guys are coming from and what incentive they have to stay involved with you? Do you know how often they're active? We've actually found out, through all the diagnostic stuff, we've actually found out the very best time to post videos to YouTube so we get the most eyes in the first 24 hours. I mean, if we can get that granular, it's really surprising. And inside me there is a really numbers happy wonk. So I love that kind of stuff, but it's really interesting to see how that happens. And of course, we're making every mistake you can possibly make to get there. Do you actively engage them? Is there a reason for them to come back and build that relationship, or are you asking them to passively watch your content? Ultimately the goal is not to be good at Facebook or other social media, but the goal is to be able to use that to build your business. That's really the critical thing, and so finding out the right strategy. And all these questions have to be asked of your social media strategy. Twitter is where kids are going. When I talk to 12, 13, 14-year-old kids, that's where they are. They're also on Instagram, and to a lesser extent, because I don't know how you manage this for marketing, they're on Snapchat, and that's a place where they are really engaging with one another. So it's more like a puzzle than ever before today. No two products or properties behave in the same way. We watch this day in and day out. They don't respond to the same marketing strategies. Targeting is more complicated. You have a narrower audience, perhaps it's deeper, but it requires a lot more planning, research, and strategy. And I could tell you stories, but I've got not enough time to tell you some stories about strategies gone horribly awry. There's a quick word about demographic changes. Remember we used to talk about, it's very dramatic, driven by media consumption habits. This is really important, the demographic changes. Kids today have a facility with technology. You see a kid sit down at the computer, pick up the remote, know how to get to Netflix on their Samsung TV that's got all the apps on it. These kids know how to do it. So today's 6-year-olds are sophisticated consumers of media. There's no question about it. They know what they want and they know how to get it. They're able to use the technology, as I said, and they're socially connected outside the home. So whether or not mom is not necessarily the sole influence on what they're going to do. And that's a change. It didn't used to be at that young. You can't talk to these guys the same way you talk to younger kids, where mom is still the gatekeeper. You have to engage them as a little bit, young grown-ups. What we're seeing is a complete redefinition of market segments. Now, a long time ago, we used to talk about kids 3 to 6. That was the sort of the group you talk to. Or kids 3 to 9, or 6 to 9. That's changed. The demographic windows have now gotten to be a year, in terms of behavior and consumption pattern, or maybe as much as 18 months you can stretch it to when you're marketing. And they all respond differently to media. So when you tell me that you're going to spend $1 million against 3 to 7-year-olds, my question is, how do I turn that back on? There we go. My question is, how do you make that meaningful? I mean, that's really the point, because you have all these market segments that you've got to deal with. You can't just put it all on TV and hope for the best. There are people out there who sell TV who tell you only TV works, media doesn't work. Doesn't work. The last time that worked was when a TV looked like that. Back when people would run it through, sell Toys R Us, we're going to make 1 million of these, we're going to put it on TV, you'll sell 1 million of them. Your strategy has got to have TV, still the best way to build broad-based awareness if it's targeted. You've got to have traditional and new media and PR to enhance awareness and create all kinds of advocacy and belief in a product. New media to build community, and that's really important, and you've got to be in the areas where kids want to share. And finally, events and other live events can really help build that community, that high touch, that high engagement that radiates out into the community. And all of it's got to be measured. And marketing, however, is more than metrics. The human factor, as we've seen, is still really, really important, and it goes beyond the numbers, and it's still critical. And if we've learned one thing about marketing on the internet, when in doubt, add kittens. You will absolutely always get your in the eyes if you add your kittens. But it has to do one thing. It has to drive sales. So, if your lovely kitten is not getting you money, what's the point? I mean, really, at the end of the day. So, I've got 19 seconds. You know what? I'm going to tell you this right now. All of this is going to change in the next 6 months. So you've got two choices. You can either be really prepared or you can be really scared. Thank you.